So thank you for tuning in. I'm Tom Landry at Benchmark Real Estate. I am here to talk to you. It is the end of the first quarter of 2022. We're going to dive into March over March. We're also going to look at the entire first quarter of this year versus the first quarter of 2021. We really like to look at those quarters because if we're looking for trends, whether you're a buyer, a seller, or somebody just studying the market, it's nice to see patterns, how they unfold over multiple months. So with statistics, oftentimes we'll compare last year versus this year, and in the Maine Association of Realtors numbers, they even will look at the statewide numbers in all categories of residential real estate. We're focusing on the Portland numbers, and we break them down a little bit further, and that's actually incredibly important. We're going to dive into that briefly, but I want to start off by saying the market is as crazy as you can imagine. We have never seen anything like it, and that's coming off of similar superlatives last year. Unprecedented, incredible increase in values. So that continues, and if you had said that to agents that this is something that could even accelerate more and prices could go up more, the days of the markets could shrink more, I don't think many of them would have thought that it could continue at this pace, let alone accelerate. So the market is even more competitive. We're seeing even higher offers above asking prices, and we're going to dive into those numbers today. Now, what I have for you, and you can reach out to me at tomlandry@benchmarkmaine.com. You can go onto the Benchmark site to see our first quarter stats. You can go into the blog section of that. But we have a mailing that we sent out, and it had two parts, right? Both of these. Now, the rack card talks a little bit about my stats, and agents can say anything, literally anything they want. There's no governing body that's really monitoring this stuff. And obviously we're trying to make a buck. Everybody is, so we can try to spin things, whether my company sells a lot or my team. What you can't hide away from and get away from is real numbers. And this is pulled directly on this sheet from the Maine Association of Realtors, and it ranks who are the top agents when it comes to selling residential real estate in the city of Portland. This is the last 10 years. Now, anybody can have a good year. Anybody can have a good quarter. Anybody can even string together a couple of good years. We like to, and it's no different when you're dealing with stocks, let's look at performance over a period of time. What has that mutual fund done? And if you're talking with somebody who's putting your money into something, they'll talk to you about that, right? It's no different than this. When it comes to the most important asset that you have, who you select makes a difference. Not all realtors are the same. And in this graph, it shows you that we've been number one in Portland by a long shot over the last 10 years, and not only number of sales, but in sales volume. So that's there. On the back, it talks about, hey, now's the time. Right now is a great time to come on the market. Why is that? Because we normally see a slowdown come July and August and even into September. We're also seeing a lot of economic news that is very unstabling, right? So whether it's the war in Ukraine, whether it's rising interest rates, there's a lot of geopolitical worry out there, and even talk of recession in the last several weeks that says to me, if I'm a seller and I own an asset, that this is probably a really good time to get out. Maybe if you're a gambler, you may leave a little money on the table, right? But you've seen a tremendous lead up to this point, and there's a lot of evidence that says we may be at the top of a market, and if we're not going to go up too much further, maybe it's a good time to sell. We've also had a lot of folks look at, I'm going to sell, I'm going to rent, and then I'm going to be in a situation in the fall or winter, maybe when interest rates get to a point which causes the market to cool, to be a good buyer and an active buyer to get a really good value. So pre-list services is the second thing on here. We are uniquely qualified to help you. So we don't just come in, walk around with my iPhone and snap some pictures and throw it online. We're marketing professionals. We take this very serious. We have something what we call launch versus list, and we help you in a systematic way get your property from where it is now to something that is magazine worthy. So that's what Launch versus List is about, and that's that sort of pre-list services. And again, spring, it's a great time right now. It's been an early start to the year. There's very little inventory, so reach out to us now. And anybody who reaches out to me and lists with me in April or May gets $100 to help them prep their house to Maine Hardware. So reach out to us on that. The other part of that same mailing is a breakdown of some just what I'm calling recent and remarkable sales in Portland. So we broke this out and we looked at some of the most incredible sales. Now, we all hear this stuff maybe anecdotally from a neighbor or a friend or a coworker about how things are selling and selling over the market. When we dove into it, it really was incredible. And the first page of this talks about single families. And that's where we've seen the most upward price pressure. So property selling for 100 over asking, 200 over asking, 10 offers, 15 offers, no inspections, free rent back. We break it down right in through here. If you want these mailings and didn't get one in the mail, absolutely reach out to me. We're also going to have these available on our website. On the back, we break it down into condos and multis. And again, we've seen our first ever and now 4 sales over $3 million for condos in Portland. We do expect that trend to continue as well. So that is the big picture market update. I'll transition now into a couple of recent stories, and these are very, very recent. I'll give you one right here. And really, to me, that tells the entire story. Real stories about what's happening in the marketplace. So in both of these situations, and I'll take the one that happened about 2 weeks ago first. This is Gordon Farms Road, 57 Gordon Farms Road in Gorham. Now this is a lovely colonial home. I met this couple, they were a referral to me about 2 years ago. So Tony and Tracy, they were going to be retiring this year. They were pre-planning for that. They're going to go back to Wisconsin and back to where they came from before they started to work at IDEX. And we spoke, we met back then, and we formed a game plan. And you think about that 2 years in advance. Well, I'd like to say if you plan ahead, you plan for success. And they certainly did that, and they had tremendous success. So flash forward about 3 months ago, they continued to work on all the improvements that we identified over those 2 years. We actually, flash back to the fall of last year, we took pictures before the snow came so that if it was a spring that wasn't looking great, we would have nice no snow shots ready to go. This year we went in, we staged the property, we did some final cleaning to the property, we listed it, and the comps showed that the property was going to probably sell probably at $650,000, maybe $700,000. We decided to list somewhere in the middle of that. We listed for $689,000. We deployed what we talk about, which is this launch versus list, and we promote the property nationally, internationally, regionally, locally, in a unique proprietary format. So with that, we created tremendous online activity and tremendous foot traffic and eyeballs on the property online. Within 24 hours, we had 2 offers. Now, listed for $689,000, comped out $650,000, maybe $675,000. The first offer was $751,000. The one we went into contract with was nearly $850,000. No inspections, cash, closing quickly. We took that offer, and it just goes to show you there's a way to approach this, there's a right way to go to market, and even in a active seller's market, how you go to market is incredibly important. Sometimes people think it doesn't matter, right? I can put a paper plate in front of my house and write for sale, and I'm gonna get a bunch of people looking at it. Well, you will, but you may not get that person who's going to pay you $130,000, $140,000 over unless you deploy specific techniques that we're using. This is one example. The other one, literally from last night, right? And it's incredible, guys. I've been in the industry nearly 20 years, and I'm just shocked by it. We listed this property. Today is Thursday. We listed this property on Tuesday. I get a call the morning after we listed on a Wednesday morning from a local agent that I've done a lot of deals with. And she says, Tom, we've been looking for 3 or 4 months. We've lost out on 3 or 4 properties. We've seen everything online. We studied the property already this morning. Now, mind you, we listed it at about 6 at night on Tuesday. Buyers are like a coiled spring. They're ready to pounce, right? They got that email. They've already looked at it. And so is the agent. And by the time 9 o'clock comes along, I'm getting that phone call and they're ready to go. She says, we're writing the offer now and we're not even going to see it until 4:30 when they get out of work. But I've got the offer already. What's the magic closing date? Do yours, sellers need to rent back? What do we need to do to make our offer even more attractive to them? Because we're writing it, and literally she said to me, we're coming in hot, right? So I'm like, great, here's the terms that are ideal for my client. Flash forward to 6 o'clock last night, I get a call. Tom, check your email. I open it up. It's literally everything that the sellers could have wanted. And the property, 86 Ballpark Lane, right? And 86 Ballpark Lane is North Deering, very nice house. But, for some perspective on people who aren't from around here, single families like this is 2,100 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. It's a very nice house in a very nice neighborhood. But a house like this, they built it 10 years ago. They built it for about $350,000. These would have traded day in and day out, prior to the last couple of years for like 400, maybe 425. Only in the last couple of years have they started to creep up. Now, the comparables show, if we look back a year or so, that it's maybe worth $575, $6, maybe $625. There was a recent sale for $650, semi-similar. So we decided we're going to push it a little bit at $649. You can see the price on there. So we figured we'd get that or close or maybe a little bit over. It seemed like the right price, not a giveaway, but also not too high to scare people away. We had the offer come in. I opened up that email and we're under contract for nearly $800,000. Now these are numbers that we never would have seen out there, even on something that was 6 bedrooms, 5.5 baths with a 4-car garage. It just didn't happen. We didn't get to those numbers. So we are in a whole different universe now. We're in a whole different plateau. And I'm telling you, what you need to have in a listing agent is somebody who knows the right number to start at, because we are seeing homes that have lingered on the market. And usually it's because if I list that house at $800,000 and I'm not a little more realistic to create the bidding war, people are going to come and see it, but then they're going to check out and come back because they know that you're pushing the market. I like to say that buyers, because they've missed out on 3 or 4 or 5 or sometimes 10 properties in a row with bids that didn't get accepted, they know the market better than the listing agents. They certainly know the market better than the sellers. So when you list, they're going to pay you what it's worth because they know how it compares to the things that are bought and been sold over the last several months. So those are really great examples that show the strength of today's market. We also have, and I'm not going to dive into this in detail because to me, really the most compelling thing is the real stories. But on our website, benchmarkmaine.com, we have the press release that we sent to the media. And this comes out, Maine Biz is a fantastic publication, but it talks about the stats that are broken down for Portland in the different categories, whether it's overall March this year versus March last year, condos, single families, multis, March over March. And then we look at those quarter numbers because again, those are going to show us the trends. What we're clearly seeing, and it's obviously driving those numbers and the trends that I showed you here, is lack of inventory. We have continued strong demand, probably thanks to the way that we handled COVID and people continuing to leave big cities. But also some of the growth that's happening here, whether they be people working at Maine Health, Maine Med, WEX, Covetrus, Sun Life, and even some people relocating from Northeastern's Rue Institute here in town as well. So a population increase, with very limited demand leads to significant price appreciation, and we see that not changing anytime soon. So all those stats are here. We also run every month a look at the highest sales, and that for this month, March of this year, the highest sale was House Island, single family in House Island for $5.35 million. A multifamily right here in Portland's West End at 227-231 Western Prom for $4,850,000. And another condo breaking the $3 million mark at Hobson's Landing at 383 Commercial Street, unit number 301, for $3,150,000. Now, again, dive into this, read the press release. It is absolutely interesting. We're gonna see great sales and great price appreciation on the single family side of things. Condominiums are going to show a decrease, but the data can be a little confusing there, so check into my commentary on that. The multifamily market continues to show some mixed results. There's some units lingering on the market, days on market going way up in some cases, 120 days on average. But we're seeing, again, this tale of two multis. The smaller multis continue to sell well, those 2 to 4 units that really aren't affected by rent control and become owner occupied. And then we're dealing with this 5 and up, which are significantly affected by rent control that are lingering on the market. So dive into the data, give us a call. We're here to help. We're here to help you navigate this type of stuff. And even if you're not selling, we probably know, on average, statistics tell us, we know, each of us knows 4 people that will be this year. Make sure that they reach out to the most qualified, accomplished, and respected team. And that's my team. And again, it's not hype, it's results. So thank you for tuning in. My cell phone, if you want to contact me direct, it's 207-939-0185. And again, you can go onto benchmarkmaine.com to get all of this information. Thank you.